AO Review family, keep it high, keep it tight. My name is Jay Morse, a review guy, back again to bring you another video. This one's going to be a little bit more serious because it was something that I was thinking about yesterday, and this video isn't going to have any fancy editing or music or anything in it because I kind of just want to give my thoughts and a little bit of a rant on two big events that has been pretty big in music recently, and since both happened up until now. And that is why I believe that XXXTentacion's death and Lil Peep's death really didn't change anything. And that comes off as a strange sentiment, a strange sentence right off the bat. And I would like to explain myself before any dislikes happen, because it has nothing to do with the deaths. It has nothing to do with the artists or who they were as people. What I'm trying to say is that despite the magnitude that both deaths had on the community, it still felt like the community stayed the same. That obviously time goes on, life goes on, but I would have thought that under the circumstances in which both of them passed, that some sort of action, some sort of call to arms to make some differences would have maybe happened. And you have a lot of the emotional rappers, the emo hip hop rappers, that are still going down the same road that Lil Peep went down. If you're unfamiliar with how they died, Lil Peep died from an accidental overdose, and X was shot in Miami and killed. And Lil Peep, he spoke a lot in his lyrics about suicide. He talked a lot about depression. He talked a lot about drug addiction, and while people listened to it as just a relatable way to, like, listen to music, people who are going through similar things, no one really expected that it was going to be an actual cry from help coming through his music. And no one really it's the type of thing that silent illnesses are never detected until it's too late, most of the time. And depression, suicidal thoughts, a lot of times even drug addiction can all considered hidden illnesses because the people are too afraid to ask for help, and they're so stuck in a rut that they can't get themselves out. And you still have these rappers that are like Lil Peep going down the same road as him, yet are martyring him, making him out to be this person who died for something greater, when in reality they should be trying to clean up their own acts in memory of him, in remembrance of him, try to make a bit of a change, try to deter against it, not glorify it. And I feel like it would have made more people come forward and say that it was more of a kind of serious issue, when in reality it seems like it's just been more of the same ever since. And it kind of it makes me sad and scared, because I don't want to lose anyone else like him. I think that he was a good artist. He didn't get his moment, and posthumously he got a lot more fame than he did making his music. But people didn't really get the memo. They didn't get the message that something was up in his mind, that something was not right, that because he was so lost, not necessarily lost, he was at the forefront, but lost in the sea of singers and rappers like him, making the type of lyricism he was making, and no one really stopped to think maybe he really needs help. And it was a sad, sad death, because who knows, it might have ended up the same way if he didn't have anyone. If he would have had someone there, he could have maybe made it. But it's just he had issues, and I'm not one to judge. I'm not one to judge his drug addiction. I'm not one to judge the way X's past went. I'm someone that believes that results matter more than motives, but you have to look at the motives to understand the results. And for X, was the reason he was shot and killed in Miami, was that a result of his past? Was it a result of recent developments that had happened? Did it all coincide in one thing and bring about how that happened? Or was it just a hit and run from some no name that didn't even recognize X? It's possible. You just can't know because it whenever someone dies, it's a bad thing. It sucks. When it's a horrible way of dying, it's even worse. If a celebrity dies in their sleep, it sucks. But when someone overdoses or when someone's shot, it's a lot more big, like it's a more of a hoopla because of circumstances. And basically what this video came down to is me saying that I want people to try to care more. It doesn't matter if you don't listen to either of these artists. It doesn't matter if you do listen to them and they're music to you. Let them be a symbol, not just a person. And take into account what can happen to you when you're on top of the world, but you're really not. Don't go down the road of drug addiction. Don't make bad decisions like X. I'm not saying that's the reason he was shot. He could very well have not have been. But try to live your life in a way that gives you the lowest chance of checking out before your time. Because Lil Peep could have been an artist that went on if not for the fact that he was just unhappy and didn't have anywhere to turn to but drugs. And X lived his whole life in shambles. He lived it in fear. He worked his way up. He had issues. He was trying to clean his act up, and some guy comes up and shoots him, and he dies. And it's just a bad situation. And I hope that more of the people watching this video and more of the people that enjoy the music from both of these people, posthumous or not, understand that it shouldn't be glorified. Violence should not be glorified. Drugs should not be glorified. Alcohol use should not be glorified. If you want to sing about all of those things, do it in such a way that doesn't glorify it. If you enjoy alcohol, put it in your music, but don't say that everyone else should do it. Or don't make yourself an idol to the point to where other people are affected by it. People are only affected by things that personally mess with their lives. And even though at first people cared about this, it wasn't something that necessarily lasted. And Lil Peep, because he was lost in that sea of people singing things like him, no one noticed. And I just hope more people take these artists seriously that are singing about these things and not just saying it's good music or critiquing it as music, and think of it more as, what are these lyrics standing for? What is this message standing for? And maybe try to change something. Maybe try to reach out and help people, not necessarily the artist, but just people you know that might be saying similar things that you're not really picking up on. Because I've had friends that have had depression and suicidal thoughts that I've put a hand on their shoulder and maybe saved them, for all I know, because they've been in bad places with nowhere to turn to, and just speaking to them sometimes is able to help them. The people who seem to be the best off, and the people who don't seem like they have anything going on, are usually the people that need help the most. And that's true of these artists that die of overdoses. That's true of artists that die of similar things. And it just is sad. So that's all I wanted to talk about in this video. It was a bit more serious. It was a bit more kind of freeform, no editing, no music, all that. If you enjoyed this video, be sure to leave a comment down below and like the video. What are your thoughts of this topic? Share it with your friends, all that stuff. And I'll talk to you guys next time. But until then, my name is Jay Morse, Review Guy, and I'm signing off saying farewell.